comedy shows are more often at 9 p.m. This is my first comedy show in the morning. And let's see.
Testing the mic.
Okay, so we have to stand this close to it. So,
But I'm wondering, oops, hang on. Oops, sorry.
yeah.
Hello? Talking, talking, talking. Talking. Thank you. Hello?
You have to, so that, this is usually the question mic. When people ask questions, yeah, so that's why it only works when you press it, so it's not supposed to be.
No, it actually just takes, it's just hard to start. Okay, so we just have to.
What are we doing for time? 5 minutes, okay, perfect. I'm gonna do, and the way I'm gonna do it is just off of, I'm just gonna have this here, and I'm just gonna kind of talk and have my notes to look at. So first, I'm gonna do laughter.
What if you pull up the PowerPoint? Does anything happen or it just says?
No, it didn't, I should have tested it yesterday.
Do you have the file anywhere?
Yeah, I have the file.
What if you pull it up in Word?
I think I have Word.
Or whatever your, what do you use?
I use Google Docs. That's just what I use. So I don't even have Word on this. So here's a Word document. What happens if I click on it?
It's a whole production, don't worry about it. And then what if you do file open and then try opening mine? And then if it works,
Okay.
great. If it doesn't work, don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Okay, open. Yeah, so it's just, blank.
Oh, it doesn't even let you?
Yeah,
Okay.
click on it.
Although, yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, so then, the other thing is if it's like my turn or your turn, we can cue each other. You know what I'm saying? Like Steve will now do this, or, so I don't have to be constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, waiting for my turn.
Yes, I will. More. Is this bigger than usual? Oh, yeah. People want to come and laugh. Yeah. So more 9 a.m. comedy shows. That's. No, it's
Oh, because nobody laughs, he's not funny.
he doesn't think he's invented.
Yeah.
For most of your day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can relate because like when we perform, like I go home and I can't go to sleep.
Yeah, it takes a few hours to come
Yeah.
down.
You can see why people get like dependent on drugs.
Opposite pursuing.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Here's this.
There's still some seats up front if you want to come down and get involved more in the show.
Really involved.
As we're getting ready to start, I'm Bob Hopper and I'm the president of the Chautauqua Science Group. And one of the things I've learned in the last year in getting older, we've moved to what's often called a CCR, a senior living place. And one of the things they do that's a miracle, they have a commitment. They start every program exactly at the time put in the program, even if people aren't all there yet. And they end. Nothing takes longer than an hour. And people just get up and leave. And nobody shames them or embarrasses them. So it's 9:15. Let's start. And I'm going to introduce one of the people in our program who's going to be proof of, you decide, of sort of evolution, genetics, and nurture, because Allison is our daughter and has come to appreciate science and laughter, hopefully through us. She's an educator, a communicator, an artist, and she did a fascinating article in Scientific American on a new approach to evolution. And she'll introduce her partner. Yep.
Hi, everyone. I'm Allison. This is Steve. Steve and I do improv together in Baltimore, and Steve is from the Washington, D.C. area, and he is a professor at George Mason University, where he teaches business, numbers, stuff.
Numbers, spreadsheets.
And so today we're going to be presenting on the science of comedy, and interspersed throughout our talk, we're also going to be demonstrating improv games so that you're also getting a sense of, like, laughter. Because I was thinking, like, yeah, we need to have some comedy as part of the talk. We're talking about the benefits of it, but you only get the benefits if you're actually doing it. You don't get the benefits from listening to a talk about it. Kind of the same as with a vaccine. You have to get the vaccine. You can't just read a scientific article about, oh, vaccines are really good for you. And so to start off, we're going to teach you the most basic improv game, which is Zip, Zap, Zop. Has anyone ever seen improv? Okay. Oh, wow, a lot of people.
Anyone ever done improv? A few more hands. I will just say, for me, improv has been fantastic. For 25 years, every New Year's, I would say, my New Year's resolution is to make more friends, and it never panned out, just raising kids. I mean, I had friendly acquaintances, but true new friends, and it wasn't until I started doing improv and the connection and the fun of doing it. Oh, sorry. It wasn't until I'll get it right. It wasn't until I started doing improv and how much fun it is and the connection that you feel with people that I started to make friends again and like real connections. And so it's a really special thing. Hopefully you'll get a sense of why, both from the things we talk about, the things you see us do, and the things that you'll participate in as well. So the first game we're going to play is a classic. It wouldn't be an improv talk if we didn't introduce Zip, Zap, Zop. It's a super simple game. It just teaches listening and connection. And so Allison's going to start, and she's just going to say zip, and she's going to point to somebody and make eye contact with them. And it normally would be in a circle, and then that person would pass it to somebody else, but because of the layout, we'll just bounce it back and forth. So the second person will say zap and point to Allison and make eye contact. And then Allison will point to somebody different, make eye contact, and say zop. Then that person will start the cycle over again, point to Allison, and say zip. So we'll show you, actually I'll go out here as if I'm one of you, and I'll demonstrate, and then Allison will start. So here I am, I want you all.
Okay. Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Okay, so let's all say zip, zap, zop together. Since we're in church. Zip, zap, zop. All right, great. And so another thing we do in improv is that if it's totally, we get the sequence, whenever something goes wrong, we clap.
We clap, we cheer, we celebrate mistakes. It's part of what makes it so special is it's such a supportive environment that often what happens both in life and then also when we're actually doing performances, it's that those mistakes, those things that don't go as planned, are the funniest, the most delightful, and the ones that spur the most creativity and imagination and innovation.
All right, so let's get back to our game. All right, let's see. Okay. Zip. Zop. Zop. Okay, well, I just have my reading glasses on, so I can't see very far back into the crowd. I'm going to have to...
We have a special announcement to ask everybody to squeeze in. Improv and science is extremely popular. We want to make sure everybody could sit down.
And there's some seats here in this row, and there's some seats over here on this side.
And I'll say this about the front row, because I say this at all of the shows that I put on that have a lot of people that aren't familiar with improv. Improv is not stand-up, meaning if you sit up close, you're not going to get roasted, you're not going to get made fun of, you're not going to get teased. Sitting up close is great because it makes it easier to hear and see what's going on.
So yes, chairs in the front. Welcome. So over the course of our talk, we're going to be talking about the science of laughter, play, games, and then at the end we'll talk more about improv. So I'm going to just dive in now and give you a break from the pressure of having to play a game. So we've all grown up with the phrase that laughter is the best medicine, and now that is being backed up by science. So there are lots of studies are coming out that shows laughter relaxes the whole body, which then releases endorphins, lowers stress hormones like cortisol, increases immune cells and antibodies, improves the function of blood vessels, lowers blood pressure, increases blood flow, and it even burns calories. So the health benefits of laughter and humor have been studied not only on its effects on mental health, but also on heart, lung, and kidney function. And even pregnancy rates after in vitro treatment go up. The more laughter a patient incorporates into their life. Studies have documented positive effects in people with depression, trauma, schizophrenia, cancer patients, children with autism, and older adults. One interesting finding that at first, when I read it wrong. It's that simulated laughter actually has more health benefits than spontaneous laughter. And I know you're like, what? Simulated laughter is when you just make yourself laugh. It's like just eating your vegetables, as opposed to spontaneous laughter is when something's actually funny and you just laugh. So one doctor got a hold of this and started a whole practice called laughter yoga. Has anyone in the audience done laughter yoga? Has there been laughter yoga at Chautauqua? Does anyone know? Well, maybe next year. So there's a lot of videos on YouTube where you can do it at home. So it's Dr. Madan Kataria, and he is a medical doctor, and he makes these videos about how laughing is good for you and how science shows that your body gets the same medical benefits from laughter, whether or not you're having a good time. So, but it's okay to have a good time. That doesn't interfere with the medical benefits. So I'm going to demonstrate a little laughter yoga. And before we do that, I want everyone to just kind of, this is the scientific part, very loosely scientific, kind of check in, see how are you feeling, like kind of on a scale of 1 to 10. And then we're going to check in again after we do the laughter yoga. So laughter yoga, Dr. Matan Kataria has found that we laugh easier when we're moving. So we're going to do 3 practices. The first one is we're waving our hands around. I know this is a crowded room, so I don't know, like kind of, you can wave your hands around a little in front of you, and you just laugh. You're just like, ah, ha, 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 ha. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Ah, great. So in order to, well done, well, everyone's so good at laughing. To get the full medical benefits of this, you need to do it for 10 to 15 minutes. So yes, we're not going to do that, but we are going to do.
That was a spontaneous laugh.
That was, yes. And then the next exercise he has people do, it's called childlike cheer. So you clap your hands. Very good, yay. 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 All right, yeah. And we're just going to do one more, which is the patting your belly. Oh. Okay, so now everyone here can say you've done laughter yoga. So now, the scientific part, we're going to check in and see, do you feel any difference in your body? So that was just 2 minutes of laughter. I do feel more energized. I kind of just feel energy, and that feels good. I realize in a scientific setting like this, doing something like silly like this could also cause anxiety and being silly in public, so that could bring your score down. And that's one of the great benefits of doing improv or getting out there and doing something funny, is it gets you to feel more comfortable with being silly and with being ridiculous. And being comfortable with being silly then brings up your confidence, it brings down your anxiety, and has just all kinds of social benefits. And so that wraps up my portion on laughter. And Steve is going to share some scientific findings about games, the cognitive benefits of games.
Yes. You also get to see a little bit of improv in action because we had some tech issues, but fortunately I can go from my phone. That's a big part of improv, is being comfortable with uncertainty. I do have a question about laughter yoga because I enjoyed it and it elevated my mood, and part of the reason why was because when I was doing it, I was looking out at everybody else doing it and smiling and having fun. Did other folks have a similar, I see some people nodding, is like, yeah, doing it with everybody. So I think that's part of the fun of what we're doing here, is when you have that collective experience, it just elevates everything. So my part talking about games is actually not particularly funny. It's the more serious scientific part of our presentation, in that playing games has a lot of cognitive benefits, and we're going to look at some of those benefits. But one big overall benefit from games is that it reduces the risk of cognitive decline. So it's a very important one, especially as we age, that playing games, and you'll see some of the reasons why, but overall it helps keep us sharper and it helps reduce the risk of cognitive decline. So one benefit of games is that it improves short-term and long-term memory. Are there any gin players here? Anybody play gin rummy? I see a bunch of hands go up. Obviously, having memory, remembering what cards went down, what cards your opponent the player you're playing against picked up is really important as far as that's concerned. Memory comes into play in a lot of other games as well, and so that's just one of the cognitive benefits of being a game player. Another one is that it enhances strategic thinking and problem solving. Any poker players here? I see a few hands go up. Any chess players here? A few hands go up. Any board game players here? Folks like Risk and things like that. So a lot of hands go up. So clearly, you understand that there's strategy involved in those games. If I do this, my opponent will do this, and so my goal is to try and do this and to win. And so that kind of thinking, you're just playing a game, but you're doing something really, really important that's benefiting you cognitively. Another benefit is heightened cognitive flexibility, which is, there's a lot of overlap in this. This is real-time strategy game training. Oh, that's the research examples. Yeah, some games involve adapting to changing rules or game dynamics, so you got to think very, very flexibly. Anyone here play Monopoly? A few hands go up, and probably you play either with yourself or maybe you've got younger relatives who like to play Monopoly. But that's a game. Early on, the game is one thing, you know, you're trying to collect property, and then later on in the game, you start collecting rent, the game changes. We talked about chess. You start out, you know, you've got both full lineup on different sides of the board. Later on in the game, there's a lot less pieces, and so you have to adapt. You can't just play the same way as the game goes on. You have to adapt as it moves along. Increased concentration and focus. I think that goes without saying. Any puzzle people here? A lot of puzzle people here. I'm going to do a divergence. Anybody here play LinkedIn games? If you like games and you're okay with online games, LinkedIn has a couple that has like 5 games. There's one called Queens that I really like, where you have to, it's kind of like Sudoku, where they go in different rows. There's another one where there's suns and moons, and you can't have more than 2 in a row, and you got to have 3 on each row and column. So if you're into those kinds of things, that's my recommendation. That's my plug, and I'm not paid by LinkedIn. I just enjoy those games. Yes. Enhanced mental agility and reasoning. Again, there's a lot of overlap, so I'm not going to go into the specifics on those. And so I want to, we're going to demonstrate a game, Allison and I. It's a cooperative game, so there's no winner. Our goal is to do something together. It's a classic improv short form game, which I'm sure, Marty, you're familiar with. What's going to happen is we're going to do a little bit of a scene together, except the catch is we're going to the lines of dialogue, each time we speak, it's going to start with the next letter of the alphabet. So to demonstrate, we'll do a quick demonstration. I'll start with something that starts with A, then she'll start with B, C, D, and so you get the idea. And then we're going to throw a couple of wrinkles in to show adaptation. And so this game demonstrates memory, because you got to remember what letter it is. Concentration, you got to pay attention to the actual scene of what's going on. Focus, kind of the same idea, as I can't just come up, if I'm on the letter C, I can't just say any old sentence that is C. It's got to make sense. And cognitive flexibility is, I might think the scene's going one way, and then she says something and it's going someplace else, and I gotta roll with it. All right, so
I think in classic improv style, why don't we get a suggestion?
Yes,
let's get a word.
I was
So,
going to do the same thing, yeah.
So, does that, just a word, any word, and that'll give us...
Cheese. I heard cheese and peanut butter. Cheese and peanut
Great,
butter.
cheese and peanut butter, that is a classic
Yeah.
in the Hopper household. So, yes.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to
No,
start?
you start.
Okay. A little something for you, Allison, because I know how hard you've been working. It's a plate full of cheese, peanut butter, crackers, and your favorite, those black olives without the pits.
But honey, you forgot the spreading knife. How, well, I mean, I guess I don't really, I can just eat it with my hands. Don't worry, no, don't go get it. This is fine.
Come on, use your fingers. It'll make it more fun.
Don't tell me about using my fingers. I can choose to use my fingers.
Eat however you want, as long as you enjoy the spread.
Oh, forget about it. It's okay.
All right,
We're fine.
So you all get the idea. So now we're going to throw 2 wrinkles in. We're going to ask for you to, instead of starting with A, we'll start with whatever letter you suggest, and then when we get to Z, we'll circle back up to A. So who wants to throw? I heard Q. I heard Q first. Now the second wrinkle is, who do you want to start, Allison or Steve? Steve. Okay, Q.
Q. Oh yeah, you give us a topic too.
Sharks. Quiet, Allison. If we're too loud, we'll scare the sharks away, and they won't come and take the chum right from our hands.
I hear that's a calming lullaby for sharks. They like it when you say,
Sharks are really hard to relax and calm. So the fact that you know that is very impressive.
Tony, you know I'm a shark expert. And they can be relaxed and calmed with
Under the sea is a completely different world. So I am so happy I'm here with the eminent sharkologist, Dr. Allison.
Verily, this is true. We have entered another world.
Whoa, there's a big one coming right for my chum.
Xylophone. That shark's named Xylophone. Say hi.
You can come eat my chum, Xylophone. If you take a finger, that's okay. I'd prefer not, but it'd be all right.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. That's how we get them to leave. Yeah, you say zoom, 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 and then the sharks go.
Away, he's going away. I want you to come back and eat my chum.
Bubbles. If you blow bubbles, they like that. It distracts them from eating your fingers.
Come back. Come back.
And that's the alphabet game. And so that's the type of game you'll do if you come and do improv. An improv class almost anywhere will have these same type of warm-up games like Zip, Zap, Zop and the alphabet game. And this is how we kind of play as adults. And so I think that's the next part that's up is I'm going to be talking about play and some of the new theories coming out about why it's so important. Chautauqua has recently started a Play Chautauqua initiative because they are following the science. They are reading that this is very important for people of all ages to play. And so there are opportunities down on Bestor Plaza that they're setting up. It's in the newspaper. Has anyone done any of the Play Chautauqua activities yet? Okay, well, take a look out for them. So science is just starting to take place seriously. When you look at the research, just thousands of research projects have been done on violence and war and aggression and why are people so aggressive, why are animals aggressive, but only a handful of studies to date look at why we play. And the big news from those handful of studies is that play is really crucial to the development of creativity and intelligence. It's also crucial to our well-being. So one of the first steps in any scientific study is to define, like, what are we studying? What is play? And so scientists call play behaviors. And there's a lot of different theories about what constitutes a play behavior, about why we do them, but almost everyone is in agreement about this central definition that play can only happen when an animal is well rested and not in any danger. And this is scientifically, like, in order to really categorize something as play in, when they're looking at rats or birds, they need to make sure that the animal isn't doing that for any other reason, that they're not sliding down the mud bank in order to get food or in order to get status or in order to attract a mate, that they're just doing it because they're playing. And so there's countless examples on YouTube of animals playing. Do any of you watch these? You get video, get links to them from your friends. You can see monkeys doing belly flops, and you can see dolphins in the wild doing all kinds of tricks and doing stuff that they do at SeaWorld for fish, but out in the wild, they're doing it. There's no reward except the experience of doing it. And so those are the behaviors that scientists are comfortable labeling as play, and they're actually discovering now that fish play. The more animals they look at, the more. So fish live in a slower timeline than mammals. So what they do is they'll speed up the video of fish, and they'll be like, oh, look, the fish are playing, whereas you wouldn't see it at normal speed, but when you speed it up. And then there's some animals that move faster than us, and so we have to slow down the videos to see their play activities. So an animal needs to be well rested, and it needs to be well fed. And so the next definition that makes play that makes a play behavior different from anything else is that it's open-ended, and it has no purpose. So that the elephant is sliding down the mud bank. There's no reason it should be doing that, and then it gets back up, it runs up the mud bank, and it slides down again. It's like, and then again. And that reminds us of kids and how they're always like, again. And that the play itself is not solving any problem. But the problem for researchers to understand it, why we play, is that play is very costly. It's very dangerous. When you're playing, you're not paying attention. So that is the moment that little animals are most likely to get eaten, fall off a cliff, fall into a river. Play also burns up a ton of energy. So an animal has to eat more in order to be able to play, in order to have all that energy to run around and do these seemingly extraneous activities that over the last couple hundred years, I think humans have worked hard to pare down and get out of school. And now we're learning that, like, oh, actually, kids need to be running around and playing. Like, just having them sit at desks is not good for their brains and for their intelligence. So while play gives a whole species survival advantages in the long term, in the short term, it is a very costly activity, in that it's dangerous and that there's we lose a lot of young mammals because of play. And that's the conundrum of it in studying it, is that for something to be this costly, it must be very important that the species keeps conserving it and passing it down. I raised my daughter in New York City, and I was constantly, I'd be like trying to get two kids down the street, and people would be like, stop playing, pay attention, look both ways. And I'm sure you all remember that as parents, that like when kids are playing, they're just not paying attention to the outer world. And that is the state of mind that then as adults we're trying to recapture by playing, whether it's on a sports team or a musical instrument or musical improv, is that we're trying to recapture that feeling of not remembering our to-do list, not remembering all of the problems in the world, but just being in the moment and having a good time, and being with our friends. So why do we do this? So the early theories were that animals play because it helps them, socialize. We need to live in groups. We need to get along with each other. And that is true. That is a big part of play. But the latest theory is that we play because it helps to prepare us for the unexpected. And that explains why humans are the mammal that plays the most. We devote the most of our childhood to play. We're not born with instincts, with very good instincts, right? Lots of other mammals come into the world, like a dog knows how to be a dog. It learns from its parents and it learns from other dogs some behaviors, but most animals arrive in the world knowing how to be that kind of animal. Whereas we have this really long infancy where we're not able to do very much at all, and play is the way that we learn how to be human. It's a very important part. And because human life, we're able to adapt to all these different environments in ways that other animals can't. They're kind of stuck in the part of the ecosystem that they're born into. And that's because of play, because play has prepared us to adapt to the unexpected. Because in other areas of life, we're really trying to control what happens so that unexpected things don't happen. But play is the area where we allow and encourage ourselves to encounter the unknown and to be curious. And so that's especially why adults today, the world is changing so fast that an important way of being able to cope with that change is to integrate more play into your life. And that will help build the muscle of being able to deal with the unexpected. So yes, go forth and play. That's the part about play. And what's next?
I thought we could do the play exercise.
Oh, okay. We're going to do a play.
If it's okay, with the second thing we talked about. Okay. So actually, I'll ask you, would you rather watch us play or would you rather play yourselves? Who wants to play themselves?
Right.
Who wants to watch us play?
Oh.
I think the majority had. You know what? We'll play, and then I'll give one opportunity for you to play. It'll be quick. Okay. So we're going to do a scene that's going to be goofy and silly. So can we get an animal? I heard skunk, but you spoke a chicken. Okay, and where's a place you wouldn't find a chicken? A chicken in the office. Okay, so here is our scene, chicken in the office. I'll have the spreadsheet for you in a minute, boss.
I know, I've ordered the new laptops that are more Pekin friendly, but they're not going to be getting in until next week, so you're just going to have to speed that up. Yeah, okay.
So the Q3 projections look pretty good. Your plan for
packaging an egg with every car we sell seems to be popular.
Yes, an egg with every car. Ugh, the night I had that dream changed my life.
Tell us about that dream, boss.
Well, you know, the chicken coop was a little colder than usual, so I really had to nestle. And I slept deeper than usual.
That's when you hit REM sleep.
REM, so important to chicken life. Yes.
Without REM sleep, we're always anxious and clucking around.
Yeah, that's why an egg with every car helps chickens get more REM sleep. Because, you know, being a chicken is a lot of stress. And,
Tell me about it. Are my feathers fluffy? Are my eggs delicious? Does the little thing that hangs down from my neck getting in the way?
yeah, I know, I am advising, I know this is Casual Friday, but I would prefer it if you wore your goiter scarf.
You're the boss. If you want to set a professional tone, I can go ahead and do that. I'll take off my AC/DC t-shirt. And scene. All right, a quick exercise for the folks that want to play along. We'll do at least two of these, one each. I'll just embody a character, I'll say something, and then you just do your best to repeat what I did. So it's just fun and goofy and silly. I guess to help me get completely creative, can I get a word of suggestion? Ambidextrous. I shake hands with both of them to let you know how happy I am to meet you. And now everybody just repeats it and tries to imitate me. I just shake hands with both hands to let you know how happy I am to meet you.
All right. So yeah, what's a word? Air?
Narwhal.
Oh, narwhal. Narwhal. Okay. Yes. I'm a narwhal and I have a spirally tube. So now we all do that. I'm a narwhal and I have a spirally tube. And so this is the game called Character Like Me, or?
Yeah, I mean, when I've done it, we're in a circle and somebody goes in and does three of those, and everybody imitates after all three. And then the last one counts down, and then a new person comes in. But it's the idea, it's fun. I mean, I know I like doing it, I hope you did, of just like this person gave us something silly to do. I don't have to really think, I don't have any pressure. All I have to do is try to do the silly thing that the other person is doing and that everybody else around me is doing. Oh, usually there's not a word. Usually there's not a word. The word is to help us keep fresh and to keep you all involved. Not for like exercises. There can be. Like if I was teaching a class and someone said, "Can we have a word?" I wouldn't go, "No, we don't do words in this." We would get a word, but usually it's just. So one of the things that I'll do is if I need a word is try to take something from the thing that came right before me and say, "Oh, that's my word," and then kind of go somewhere like tangential to it. Like so, narwhal horn. Then I might like do something like I was a musician or something.
So those are examples of the kind of games you'll play in improv, and we're going to wrap up our talk by just talking about some of the benefits of doing improv, because the earlier things we talked about, like laughter, games, those were very personal benefits. Like you can play games on your own. You can be at home laughing by yourself. But what the other thing that scientists are finding is that we really need to be in groups of people. And has anyone been keeping up with all of these articles on the loneliness epidemic and the epidemic of social isolation? And that a lot of the things that we used to do together, we're not doing them anymore. We're in church today, so that's great. And so improv is a very social activity, and it's a way that you can spend time with other people. You can spend time with a team. You can be on an improv team, or you can just go to a class. And it's the social benefits of improv that we're going to concentrate on. And that so here, so brain scans have shown that improv activates the creative brain center and helps with brain connectivity. So that's what it's doing inside you, but I feel that the real benefits of it are that it's getting you to be with other people and laugh and play, and that there aren't that many opportunities to do that. I think you're edging, let me know when we should start questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, are we doing our things?
Yeah.
Is it written or we're just...
We just have them on here. So we're just alternating. These are the benefits of improv, and we're here.
Studies have shown that improv generally boosts creativity and confidence.
And it decreases stress, anxiety, and uncertainty tolerance. So uncertainty tolerance is related to play, when I was saying about how play prepares you for the unexpected. And confidence. The document kind of dwindles out there.
Yes.
So, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you feel the benefits of improv are, what you've found?
Oh, so like I was saying before, it's helped me. It's brought something to my life that I didn't have. I mean, I was raising a kid, doing work, and all that was great, but I didn't have a hobby, and I wasn't like meeting and connecting at a level that I wanted with a lot of new people, and improv brought all that. Like, I'm doing things now I never would have had a hobby or an interest or something that I would have come up and talked to you all about. I perform regularly. I'm teaching. If anybody is in Baltimore or the DC area and is interested in improv, come talk to us. If anyone's not, come talk to us. We can help hook you up, but the DC Baltimore folks, that's us. I'm in my late 50s thinking about retirement, and like this is going to be my retirement. I'm teaching a class in the fall with Ollie, which I'm sure a bunch of you are probably familiar with. And it has just been something that has brought so much joy and silly. The last thing I'll say is what I love about improv, and you saw it with us. We're doing scenes, we're making characters. It's like down here. It's just silliness, it's goofiness. But the fact that we're connecting puts it up here. So where else can you do something that's just like low and silly and goofy, but the outcome is so meaningful and feels so good?
So we're also, this week we're teaching through special studies at the Turner Center, and I've got a little sheet with all of that info. There's still 3 places left in the class if you want to come by.
Just out of curiosity, is anybody here registered in that class?
The 3:30.
Oh, the earlier class, yeah. Yeah, there's another one that's earlier that I know some folks are, yeah. Oh, that's ours.
Yeah. Oh, no, our friends are teaching it.
Although I'll
They're
teach it
part of our group.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at 3:30. Oh, the title is Discover the Magic of Improv. And we'll also be down at Bester Plaza around 7, from 7 to 8, if it's not raining. And we'll be demonstrating more of these games for people. We'll be doing, games for groups down at Bester Plaza.
And those are really fun because they're not scenic based. A lot of it is just, again, being silly, being goofy. A lot of people worry like, oh, I'm not clever, I'm not quick. A, you don't have to be, but B, particularly with the kinds of things we're going to be doing at Bester Plaza, a lot of times it's just the first thing that comes to you, or like we did here, you just imitate somebody else.
And so, yeah, I think we'll open it up to questions now. And this week, over the next
Hello?
couple nights, just for
Is it
week
on?
2, comedy week. Yeah.
It's on?
Hi, my name is Barbara.
Hi, Barbara. No.
Okay, and I have one question and then one story. My question is, Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games are so popular among the 20 to 40-year-olds. And those of us who are not 20 to 40 wonder what is the value of them.
Well, there's a lot of overlap. A lot of people come to take improv to get better at playing Dungeons and Dragons. And because Dungeons and Dragons, you have to make up characters and scenarios. So there is a lot of overlap between the communities. I would say that improv is much more immediate. You don't have to, it's not like, it's never gonna be a 6-hour thing like Dungeons and Dragons. But,
Okay.
But I think Dungeons and Dragons, it gets people together as a team, and they're having an experience together. So it covers a lot of the same benefits that Steve and I were talking about.
So part of it is the teamwork versus the competitiveness that we have in other games, board games and so on. Is that?
I think so. I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, but I know people that do. I get the sense it's collaborative, that they're like a unit working together as opposed to trying to defeat each other. And improv is like, I mean, some of the short form stuff, they have competitions. I tend not to like that. I like situations where everybody's celebrating, everybody's working, everybody's trying to lift everybody else up.
Okay. And then my story is, as a physician who was practicing when Norman Cousins came out, that laughter is the best medicine.
So keep holding, there's a little button you have to press. Should we just?
Yeah, there we go. As a physician, many of my patients who were healing from something would just sit and watch.
Oh. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
I think the question people should come here. Because I saw, I think it might be the battery.
Okay. So they would watch I Love Lucy or whatever as they were home healing. And one time I brought in a book of jokes to one of my patients who was in the process of healing. And he said, "Oh, you're torturing me, you're torturing me." And I said, "What's the matter?" And I realized that he had abdominal surgery, and laughing was too painful.
I just have something to share a little bit. I'm a pediatrician, and we watch how children play, and it's a developmental process. By the time, like a 4-month-old will shake a rattle, and they'll hit the edge of the crib and get a response and continue and get delight out of that, just like the social smile that a baby has. They get delight out of that. A child, a 2-year-old, will have parallel play. They play by themselves, but by the time they're 3 and 4, they have social play where they're sharing with other. And it is developmental stages as we progress through life. Children on the autism spectrum don't know how to play, and you have to teach them rotely. And I have a lot of experience with that, and play therapy is very helpful. So there are children that just don't know how to play, and you've given me something to think about for adults who are still, sometimes people get on the spectrum, get to be adulthood, that it might be very therapeutic to use the improv for that. Thank you.
Hi.
Steve, in your dull accounting classes, have you find now that you do more improv that you get sillier in class and make funny comments and things like that?
I would say a little bit. I was teaching before I started doing improv, so I always feel like I bring more of my teaching into my improv than improv into teaching. But where it really comes into play is when I'm solving problems. I'm not somebody who, has the answers and goes, step one, I will make up the numbers on the spot. I have enough confidence in myself that I can solve it in real time. And I think that makes it a lot more engaging for the students because they see that it's happening live in front of them. So I've thought about it. I think that's the area where the improv bleeds the most into my teaching.
Hi, thank you guys for doing this. It's terrific. I wonder, do you ever run into a crowd that's really stiff? Like you can't, they're too serious, they're high achievers, so on. And sort of two parts to the question. First, how do you break through to them? How do you soften them up and get them into playland? And second of all, could we bring this to Washington, D.C.?
Well, luckily, that wasn't this morning's crowd. I'd like to thank all of you for your willingness to just jump in and just take part in all of this. You really were a great audience. We have played sometimes we go into the theater and there's only 2 people in the audience. We've had audiences where they don't laugh at all and it feels terrible, but it's actually part of the value of performing and just having yourself perform over and over again is that if you can get used to performing for audiences that aren't laughing, to audiences that only have 2 people, then other things in life don't feel as difficult. That's the way that it helps bring down your anxiety, is that you get used to feeling uncomfortable and just continuing on.
As well as maintaining flexibility. I did a workshop a few months ago, and we started out with some word-based warm-ups, and they didn't go particularly well, and then we went to some that were a little more physical. You didn't have to quite think as much, and then that worked real well. It loosened people up. So part of what we've learned from improv to bring to those kinds of things is a level of flexibility, trying to read the room and, okay, what is going to resonate the most with these people?
So it might be that if you start and you've got a really stiff crowd, you dumb it down a little bit. This might be perfect for Washington. No,
I'm with Washington Improv Theater, and they're doing everything they can to hit the politicians, but nobody wants to listen.
I was intrigued by your comment about altering the immune system, and with immune problems seeming to be more prevalent nowadays. For example, COVID, the reason people died was not the virus, but it was the exaggerated immune response to the virus. Norman Cousins, I think, had an autoimmune problem, rheumatoid arthritis, as I recall, and he noticed that his SED rate would go down when he would increase laughter and humor each day. And now with, celiac problems and people with allergic rhinitis and seasonal issues, immune dysfunction seems to be more prevalent. So I'm wondering what the studies may have been, how detailed or how extensive they were in terms of looking at immune function and the benefits of humor and laughter.
Well, I'll have to Google that. I don't know how detailed they've been, but I do know that it's kind of like the snowball effect, that we started with just a few studies, but now there's a lot more that are in the works. So hopefully we will be knowing more over the next few years.
And that could be a rich area for further research.
Yes.
Oh, wait, I'm going to have to bring that down. Okay, that's better.
together. So, hi, this is wonderful. I'm a strategic facility planner, so I plan buildings and the inside of spaces. And one theory that I've had now for quite some time is that everything we need to know about space, particularly like office space, it comes, if we thought about our kindergarten classrooms, because there was so much play in different types of activities, and then we get to first grade, and then through the rest of our lives, we sit in these cubicles and sort of, this is the space we're supposed to work in and be creative in and do all the things that we're supposed to be doing. And so one of the things that I've been thinking about, and this is helpful, is looking for this research with my clients. I think about how do we create spaces that allow people to take adult brain breaks, and what does that look like, and so on. I'm thinking about how this might incorporate or connect. I've been thinking about like large magnetic tic-tac-toe boards and puzzles and things like that to game and connection. I wonder if you have any thoughts. I'm like, can I do this in the office? Can I get people to think about it? So, chickens, right.
Dr. Stuart Brown has started a National Institute of Play, and so he has just tons of research and resources on his website. If you kind of Google National Institute of Play,
Great.
And I think there'd be resources there that would help you inform, like, why you need to design spaces where people can play.
Yeah, I want to be able to give the why to the people who have to make those decisions and say, like, this is actually good. It's not about Google, right? It's not about creating places that all we think about, but the value of those is that you create creativity and decision-making and problem-solving in those moments, too. So thank you. That's great, Dr. Brown.
Right. So we've got two more questions.
Yeah, and so we can, if you want, we can talk after the thing.
Thanks very much for a stimulating, entertaining presentation. I have a rather nerdy methodological question. Some of the benefits you mentioned, cognitive, emotional, psychological, social, physical, and doubtless others, were very, very broad. And the methodological question is, it's hard to do a double-blind study and have people not know whether they're doing improv. Can you tell us about some of the outcome measures, especially for things other than physiological, which can be measured without bias, to demonstrate some of these benefits that you mentioned?
I can't. I mean, that's a great question. I didn't read the studies carefully enough. I just kind of gathered the big conclusions. It's an excellent question, and I'm not going to go up here and just make stuff up. And so I don't know the answers to those.
You didn't know it was going to be on the test. Sorry.
So the book I read to prepare for this, it's called The Kingdom of Play by David Toomey, and he details all of the scientific studies, and a lot of them are done with rats, and they're not very pleasant to describe, but they're pretty rigorous. And so that's the book that I would recommend. It's called The Kingdom of Play.
Or of mice and men.
But I will say that's a great question, because before I was teaching, I was doing more research, and so you get a statistically significant, it was about finance type stuff, but you get a statistically significant result, but then you'd look at like the size of the coefficient, and you realized it was pretty irrelevant as far as, so that's why I think that's an excellent question. It's nice to say these benefits, would be even nicer is to be able to somehow quantify them. So
thanks.
We believe they're meaningful.
A quick story of play and animals. My daughter and son-in-law had a dog, Simon, and he was a dog. And then they adopted Deli, who was a retired greyhound racer. And as a working dog, they're not allowed to play. They're not allowed to do anything but chase. And they said it was fascinating to watch Simon teach Deli how to play.
I have a little pug dog who teaches other dogs how to play, and it's really neat watching that happen. Here's Bob.
And our son has a retired racer who is lovely and peaceful and pleasant, but doesn't know how to socialize with other animals, and other animals are competitors. We want to thank you for being here. One of the things we do as the science group, we sponsor a young scholar from the local high school every year. We've now done 7 young people who have won our scholarships to help them go to higher education. And to help us do that, there is a little basket on the table, and the first person to put in a substantial amount, and you determine what that is, there's a ticket to a play this afternoon sitting on the side. You can take that. Another person who gives a substantial gift, there's a great book called The Coming Instability, which is by one of our speakers, and he has given some to us to give away. You can have that. But just thank you for being here. Have fun the rest of the day, the rest of the week, and we'll see you next week. We're going to be right here with Brian Webb looking at Beyond the Tipping Point, Climate Solutions for a Sustainable Future. See you next week.